Science education, fitness too. Molecular moms got it all for you.
Hi everyone. So today I just wanted to give you a little bit of information that I think is really important that you may not get from your physician, because not all providers have the information that I think that they need in order to speak to their patients that are looking to become pregnant or who are of childbearing age. And that topic is carrier screening. So carrier screening is a genetic test that looks for common mutations or variations in disease-causing genes. So some of these could be cystic fibrosis, that's caused by mutations in the CFTR gene, or it could be, say, for sickle cell anemia, mutations in the HBB gene, or SMA, spinal muscular atrophy, is due to mutations in the SMN1 gene. So you may think, why do I need this testing? I don't have spinal muscular atrophy. I don't have cystic fibrosis. I don't need this test, right? Well, carrier screening is for diseases that are typically recessive diseases. So those diseases that do not cause disease in patients that are carriers. These are diseases that you need a copy from your mom and a copy from your dad. And both have to be mutated in order for you to present with this disease. If you're a carrier, you do not have disease because you have one good copy, but then you have one bad copy of the gene, a disease-causing gene. So most people are unaware that they are a carrier of a pretty severe disease if they have not had genetic testing. And a lot of physicians don't give information about their options for carrier screening. And carrier screening is typically covered by most insurance for women who are of childbearing age or are looking to become pregnant or who already are pregnant. In my mind, I think it's very important that you are proactive and you are screened before you become pregnant, because then that gives you more options down the road. So if you're a carrier of, let's say, cystic fibrosis, you don't have to be concerned about your own health. You have to be concerned about, if you get pregnant, that your baby may also be a carrier. And that's not a problem to the baby, but you may personally prefer not to have a child that's a carrier that can then go on and pass this disease mutation on. However, the biggest concern really is if your spouse is also a carrier. So if you are identified as being a carrier of a particular disease, then your spouse can then be tested, and typically that is covered by insurance as well if your partner wants to have testing done and you are shown to be a carrier. So that's where it becomes really important. So say I have a mutation in a particular gene that causes a disease. So I would have my husband then be screened for that particular gene, for mutations in that gene that could cause disease in our children, because they could get the bad copy from me and then also a bad copy from my husband if we had a baby, and that baby could be affected. So if both parents are carriers of a recessive disease, then your children have a 50% chance of just being a carrier and not being affected. They have a 25% chance of being a non-carrier, where they get the good copy from you and the good copy from your spouse or your partner or your donor if you're using a donor. But then they have a 25% chance of being affected. So a 1 in 4 chance that you can have a child if you're both, you and your partner are carriers for disease, and that's pretty high. So even if you already have children that are unaffected and you've not been screened, I still would recommend that you have carrier screening done. Because again, if both you and your partner are carriers of a particular disease, you have a 75% chance that your children are unaffected. So maybe you already have 3 kids and none of them are affected with any severe disease. That doesn't mean that both you and your husband may not be a carrier. You both could be, and you've just been lucky that you've not had a child yet that's affected. And if you want to have another child, I would suggest that you do still go through carrier screening, because again, it is covered by insurance and it just gives you a peace of mind. So what sort of options do you have? It depends on the disease, but if you know that you're a carrier, you can decide that you want to have pre-implantation genetic screening, where they will choose embryos that do not have the disease. Or you could choose to have a donor that is not a carrier. Or you could choose to not have children or not have additional children if you know that you're a carrier. And those are all options that you have once you're aware of your carrier status. The other benefit behind it is that for some diseases, there are treatment options, either in utero or support for a child before they're born. If you have this carrier screening done, you can have your baby screened before they're born, so that you have extra treatment options to help improve the outcome of your baby if the baby is found to be affected with the disease. So I like to point this out, this carrier screening, because a lot of even OBGYNs don't provide this information to their patients. It's not readily available, but it's something that I think is growing, the recognition of the benefit of it and the availability and coverage by insurance is great. But I still see a lot of providers not giving the option to screen before conception. And I think that's a key thing to keep in mind, that you are going to be covered typically even before you conceive. And that gives you the best options, the most diverse options if you screen yourself for diseases, carrier screening, before you become pregnant. And I really wish that providers would start to push that, or at least present that option to their patients of childbearing age, that that's an option open to them. So I hope that you learned a little bit something today about carrier screening, and that if you are looking to become pregnant or you're of childbearing age, that you talk to your provider about your carrier screening options. And if anyone has any questions or would like for me to give them more information about carrier screening options and where they can have carrier screening tests done, feel free to personal message me or drop a comment in the comment section. Thanks for tuning in.
Science education, fitness too. Molecular moms got it all for you.